That is the truth here. There is no justice, and maybe justice isn't reachable in this case.
Police made mistakes, and it means the family of a 21-year-old CSU student killed in an accidental shooting last year may never know what really happened that night. The deputy district attorney admitted as much in court this afternoon, offering a plea deal to the only other person in the room that night.
Coleman Carver pleaded guilty to tampering with evidence, the gun that killed Finnegan Daly. That ends 2 years of investigations and shifting stories. 9 News reporter Steve Steger was in court.
There's been an empty chair at Thanksgiving the last 2 years in Gina Daly's home. The bear hugs non-existent. The nightly text reminding a mom her son loves her, unsent. Painful reminders of Finnegan Daly's death, read aloud by an angry mother in open court where our microphones weren't allowed.
Finnegan was all about justice.
In that same court, an open admission. There is no justice for Finnegan's family because mistakes were made.
They admitted that the first investigation was improperly done, poorly done, whatever word you want to use.
Back in January of 2018, Finnegan Daly was shot and killed inside a house in Fort Collins. His roommate, Coleman Carver, the only person in the room with him. Carver said after a night of drinking, he went downstairs to secure his guns before going to bed. He says Daly walked into the room, grabbed one of Carver's guns, and shot himself. Police initially accepted this story and closed the case, calling it an accidental shooting. Then came the Snapchat photo, shot moments before the 911 call, showing Carver holding the gun that would kill Finnegan. Police reopened the investigation, and Carver's story changed. After admitting to picking up the gun after Finnegan shot himself, he was charged with tampering with evidence and other charges. Today in court, prosecutors agreed to drop the other charges as Carver pleaded guilty to the felony tampering charge. In exchange, he gets a deferred sentence. Carver chose not to speak when asked by the judge.
But I thought maybe in that situation, he might say something, but he clearly just, rattled off the, no thank you, I'm not going to say anything.
Daly's family doesn't believe they're getting the full story of that night. And today, prosecutors and the judge agreed, blaming a bad investigation. Deputy District Attorney Ashley Barber says critical errors made by police in those initial hours, like not testing Coleman Carver's blood alcohol level, all led to a lack of evidence in this case. The judge told the family the court couldn't shore up a shoddy investigation. Quote, "There's no way for us to make this just or fair."
But the judge and the DA agree how numerous mistakes were made in that first investigation, yet they won't take it upon themselves to investigate what exactly went on in that investigation. Could it happen again?
Finn's mom and stepdad were pleased to hear the court admit the battle they've been fighting for nearly 2 years wasn't moot. They'll never feel justice from the case that haunts this mother and the other son who couldn't bear to come to court. He'll never see his brother again.
Griffin has been sentenced to life without his best friend. Coleman can, hang out for 2 years and then he gets it sealed. It's like it never happened.
So if Carver is successful in probation for the next 2 years, his record will be wiped clean. He can't touch a firearm in that time, and he has to complete a firearm safety class. As for what's next for the family, they are pushing for an investigation into the Fort Collins Police Department for the errors in that initial investigation. We reached out to a spokesman for the police after court this afternoon, haven't heard back yet.
So you have something terrible that happens, and then something else terrible that happens with this investigation, and it looks like that might be some last final measure of justice for the family?
They just want some closure and some answers about what happened in those first few hours, why the blood alcohol level wasn't checked. There was also an interview that was recorded on video, but the audio doesn't exist anymore. There's a missing jacket that Finn was wearing that night they wanted tested for GSR. That went missing between the coroner's office and the funeral home. So a lot of things that are just missing pieces in this investigation.
Critical evidence and changed stories.
Changed stories. And right now, Gina Daly says the only evidence she has that her son ever had the gun in his hand is evidence from a guy whose story keeps changing. It's the only thing that's telling her the gun was in his hand at the time.
All right. Thank you, Steve.